All right, TT, big week for you. It was your season debut in the 200, and of course, you did some monumental things, but we'll talk about that in a moment because before you had your big run Saturday afternoon in the 200 meters, on Friday night, you set down a new PR, two of them actually, in the 60 meters. I think you got to 6.69 in the finals of that one. That's not even your premier event, and yet you've got one of the 10 best times in school history, one of the 20 best times in the nation this year. So before we talk about Saturday, I feel like you kind of set it up with what you did Friday night. Did you feel like something big was going to happen after you did so well in the 60 meters?
Definitely. I think running the prelims in the 60, I wasn't having the greatest of weeks, or like the past couple of weeks of training weren't really that great. So I was just there to just, try and make it into the final, execute a good race. And I came out with a PR, which was pretty unexpected. And then pretty much in the final, I had to just kind of like replicate that performance. And I did, and I came back with another PR. So the 60 was a pretty good indicator of the 200 the next day.
Knowing how well you ran in that 60 and what kind of time you put down, was there a little bit of extra spark, a little extra motivation? Did you feel Saturday morning and during your warm-up on Saturday that you were about to lay down a fast time?
Yeah, I definitely felt good. And I definitely felt like last night's races. I was a little sore, but, overall I still felt pretty good. So it was just about going out there and, running a good 200 and just, executing a good race again. So
do you have a time in mind? Do you have a time in the back of your head? You've run 200 meters so many times in your life, whether it's indoors or outdoors. You kind of know how your body feels at a given time, and obviously you know the kind of performances you've had in the past. Do you have a time in mind that you think you're going to hit before that gun goes off? And obviously, did you hit it or did you even exceed it on Saturday?
Definitely exceeded it. I didn't have a particular time in mind, but I felt pretty good in the warm-up and everything. So I thought maybe a PR or close to a PR, but I definitely didn't expect the time that I ran.
All of your indoor PRs now have actually happened at that track. Is there's something about that facility that it just times out right, or you just feel more comfortable there? I know there's a little less travel involved, but every single one of your PRs last year and this year indoors have come there.
I think that, yeah, there's definitely something about the Clemson track, and I think there's also something about it being Clemson. So, being a Gamecock, you want to kick Clemson's butt. So every time I've been there, it's been a good time.
It's a long season ahead. I think you guys have something like 20 meets on the calendar, and this was just the second. And not that you'll run in all 18, but there's a lot of track and field left, including conference and national championships. Knowing the kind of time that you ran in your season opener, knowing that you've been to NCAA's indoors and outdoors before, how do you take this time and what do you do to build off of it to make sure it gets even lower? Because as well as anybody else, 20:45 is the best time in the nation now, probably not going to be the best time in College Station in a couple months. So how do you build on that and make sure that you're peaking even better when we get to SECs and NCAAs?
I think a big thing we need to focus on is recovery. So after a big run like that, you definitely want to make sure that your body recovers. And then going forward into the season, we just want to be consistent and run times like that all the time. That will ensure that you have a great race in the SECs and NCAAs.
Armory coming up this weekend. I know that's always one of the favorite meets for everybody on the team, not just because of the facility, but also because you get to spend 3 or 4 days in New York City. As one of the seniors, and you guys are taking a lot of newcomers up there, how do you make sure that everybody enjoys themselves and sees New York City, which I know is one of the highlights of the program every year, but also comes ready to compete on Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, you just got to make sure that there's enough time for recovery. Recovery is very important, especially coming from a training week to the competition. Just make sure that you don't overdo it. Don't spend all night like walking around Times Square or something like that. Just go out there, see what you need to see, take some pictures, have a good time, and then go back to your room and rest and do your homework.
Anything in particular, someone who's been there several times now, that you're looking forward to?
What you mean?
As far as sites in New York City? Anything that you always hit every year?
I don't know. I've kind of seen, over the years, I've kind of seen everything that I wanted to see there. I mean, not everything, but most things.
It's a pretty big city.
Yeah, it's a very big city. I mean, I think Coach Fryer does a good job and Penny as well does a great job in like ensuring that there's good activities and that we see all the important landmarks in New York City. I really did enjoy this one play we went to. I'm not sure. I think it was last year. It was a very nice play, and that was, enough to go out there to New York and see what you need to see and enjoy the play. And then afterwards, we went back to our rooms and recovered. So that was great.
And there's not a lot of programs who get to do something like that in the regular season, especially Southeastern Conference programs. It really is a special thing, something I know that you probably appreciate as somebody who's got to do it a few times, that the Gamecocks go up to New York every year.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should all be grateful for all the activities that we do. And for me particularly, I think it's a great thing. Coming from South Africa, it's a new country for me, and it's always nice to see everything that I can in the country. So,
a couple more for you. As one of the veterans and somebody who is a leader on the squad, as someone who's been here for 4 years, I'm sure there's a lot of newcomers, whether it's people new to the program or even veterans like yourself that are really clicking. Who are some of your teammates that have stood out to you these first couple weeks as people that use their off season wisely and are ready to do big things for the team this year, men or women's side?
Oh, sheesh. I really don't want to leave anyone out, but there's definitely, I mean, if you look at the list, you're going to see them. And, there's a group of us that have been working really hard, and we try to motivate each other throughout the fall. And, especially like through the winter season, that's particularly hard because it's cold and everyone's at home. It's, Christmas. So it's very hard to like stay consistent in your training. And it's cold outside too. So,
sure.
Through that break, I get to, we all got together and, made sure we go to the track and keep consistent in our training. So I think that group was going to do well this year.
You guys have a pretty big group, half a dozen, maybe up to a dozen folks who, are legitimate national champion threats in their individual events, 4 or 5 on the men's side, 4 or 5 on the women's side. Does it feel good? Because it hasn't always been like that for you in years past, to know that you've got, like you said, a big group that is training on the same level that you are and has the same kind of ambitions that you do, which is to stand at the top of the podium in NCAAs.
Yeah, definitely. It is good to have a group like that, and it's even more important to make sure you keep them motivated throughout the training year. I hope that my performance helped inspire some of them to keep working, and that if you work hard, you're gonna get to where you're trying to get to.
Last one for you. Talked about the Armory, going there this weekend, a place you've run 3 or 4 times in the past. You're running the 60 and the 400, taking the 2 off this weekend. What do you hope to accomplish this weekend that can keep climbing the escalator towards big performances at Nationals in a few months?
Like I mentioned earlier, consistency is a big thing. So in the 62, because I use the 60 as an indicator for how the 200 is going to go.
Sure.
So if we can just be consistent in New York with the 60, and then the 400, which is a pretty new challenge for me. I usually run 4x4s and I, pop them off. So it's not all that new, but, kind of running the open 4 is definitely more individual now. And so, but I'm going to use that for training, and, hopefully that benefits the 200.
Big weekend coming up for the Gamecocks. And of course, it was a big weekend for Titi, 2045 in the 200 meters. Buddy, appreciate you stopping by, and hopefully we'll talk to you again after some more big things this season.
All right, thank you.